Hey Doug.
Hey Martin.
Thank you for agreeing to do this interview. I think we're going to help a lot of people.
I'm excited.
Cool.
It should be fun.
Yeah. Let's just have fun. We're going to have a little conversation about what you do.
Cool.
And why you do it. So tell us what you do.
I'm an actor. I'm also a comedian, mostly in the improv and sketch sense. And I'm a musician.
And why do you do this?
I do it because I love it. It's the best rush in the world to prepare a piece and show it in front of an audience. It's also an incredible rush and experience to create something in the moment for an audience, to have them witness the moment of inspiration on stage as you connect with other people in an improv scene or a musical improv show. It's definitely magical and so fun.
So how did you get into this?
I got into it because I was this 6-year-old who would remember, the story of the 3 bears, and I would feel the need to recite it on the table for my entire family. So I'd stand up and I'd go, "This is the story of the 3 bears." So my parents knew that, it didn't bother me being the center of attention and telling a story to a big group of people and trying to, keep their attention for that amount of time. That didn't bother me. And it was actually fun. But at the same time, I enjoyed music, and I started taking guitar lessons around the age of like 7 or 8.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So how did you know it was okay to pursue what you wanted to do? Who taught you to do that?
I don't think my parents ever set up the precedent that it wasn't. So I just knew that there was the possibility of a career path in something I enjoyed. There was never the idea, well, your father does this, so you have to do this.
Mm-hmm.
Or, your mother went to medical school, so you're going to medical school. It was like, Doug, if you like guitar, then we're going to make sure that you can do it at a level that you have a possible career path in it. Or, Doug, if you love acting, we're going to make sure you go to the School of the Arts so that you can have the possibility of a career path in acting. It was never like, oh, these are just mere hobbies, that you would never have a career path. And if it truly gave me joy, they wanted to see me do it at a level that was possible to work in it. Never diminishing the initial spark of joy that came from it. It was more about do that thing you love at a good level while maintaining the joy you had when you were naive about it.
So what other messages? I remember you telling me once about something your mother said about the word can't.
Oh, when I was little, she used to say that can't was a worse word than fuck. She would say, if I would say I can't, she would go, oh, that's worse than the F word. You can. You definitely can. And me and my brother, like, if we would get discouraged about something or something was too hard, like, it was always like, you can totally do it. It was never like, oh, well, you probably can if it's hard. Like, which I'm sure a lot of people hear that stuff, and that, that sucks and blows, but I think it's important for people to believe in a potential that's past something realistic.
That's past something realistic.
Yeah, realistically, I could become a guitar player who, plays pretty well. But because I had this irrational belief that I could somehow be as good as Dimebag Darrell from Pantera, then I tried to get to that place and probably landed in a place that was better than I would have ended up if my thoughts hadn't been irrational in terms of the results.
Right.
You push yourself way past where you think you could end up.
That's really interesting you say that about being realistic, because I heard Will Smith say once that being realistic is the most commonly traveled road to mediocrity.
Yeah.
And I really like that.
Will Smith, he exhales excellence. He's the best.
So it sounds like your parents taught you that basically there are no limits.
Yeah, my parents are awesome. They're the best people I know.
And do you have brothers and sisters?
I have an older brother.
What does your brother do?
He's a dolphin trainer
And
in the Clearwater Sea Aquarium Marine Hospital in Florida, where they shot the new movie A Dolphin Tale with Morgan Freeman.
that's really crazy. You have these parents who are so supportive and taught you to think this way, and we have you on in an off-Broadway musical, and we have your brother training dolphins.
Yeah.
Which are so outside of the box of how most people think about work.
Yeah. And I think if your work can reflect who you are, then it becomes a lot less work-y.
Right.
Yeah.
So the lines between work and play are blurred.
Absolutely.
Do you...
Every day.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's surreal to ever even take a paycheck doing what I do.
Because it feels like play?
Because it's fun.
Because it's fun?
Yeah. I feel like I've cut out the things that are less me.
Which is a great segue into my next question. To what degree do you have the power to choose your work?
Pretty good, because when I'll like make a video or something, that is all chosen. That is all work that I've chosen. But as far as like the recent musical, like I don't typically go out on a lot of auditions. That like I'm not like big on the audition grind.
Mm-hmm.
I should be more, but this show was like exactly in my wheelhouse. Like when I went to audition for this show, I knew I was like, this is the kind of show I want to be doing. A rock musical that is also funny, where people are also playing instruments. Like I was like, this is exactly the kind of thing I'm interested in. So to that degree, I can be selective with what kind of projects I take on. With Pop Roulette, irreverent pop culture sketch comedy, like we created that world for us. And the videos I do with Anna Caligari, those videos tend to be exactly what we're interested in as well. So the degree to which I choose the work is very selective. But like I got to do a commercial recently where it was a funny kind of sketch comedy character, and that's exactly what I'm interested into. So because I've been selective in the type of company I keep myself in, you know, Pitt, UCB, Magnet, yeah, I hail from UCB, but because I keep that tight, those opportunities scale themselves down into things I'd be more interested in anyway.
Interesting. So sounds to me like you know what you want, and so therefore you recognize it when you see it.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's similar to when you're doing improv and you pick something to focus on.
Right.
Then your subconscious does all the work of bringing you the goods. But in terms of it flowing, I think it flows the more you like what you do. So like going from a rehearsal to a show, or going from a shoot to a show, is way more flowing than kind of chaotic. I would say that the worst was when I was juggling things I didn't like doing with things I like doing.
Mm-hmm.
So like if I wanted the daily grind, then I would have taken some different job or be interning like a 9-to-5 internship or something like that, which I've done internships. But if I wanted the daily grind, like that's like a very deliberate choice, and it does get in the way of like rehearsal and audition opportunities, which you have to weigh out, like where do you want to be, like where do you want your physical body to be during the day.
Mm-hmm. And
I'd prefer to be like creating and trying to get in rooms where I can create and audition for other people's projects as well.
Speaking of it, going back to your parents, I remember you telling me something about when you had your first guitar lesson.
Yeah.
And the lesson was over, and you know what I'm talking about?
Mm-hmm.
With your dad? Mm-hmm. Tell us about that.
Well, my dad is just a machine. I mean, my dad is better at art than I am, and he doesn't even do it full time. So there's that. But after my first guitar lesson, I had the CD with the exercises, I had the music, and I had the guitar that had barely been touched. And he goes, Doug, you know, that was a good first guitar lesson. You should consider, instead of waiting to practice till tomorrow, you know, you just learned it, it's all fresh, why not practice it right now? I was like, whoa. The idea of really impressing my teacher with how much I had practiced was completely, as a kid, I just had never thought of it that way.
Of course.
I think I even have the book here, the first guitar book. It's here, yeah. And I practiced that night, and I did blow my teacher away the next week, because it was just like, I had gotten past the conscious competence phase of playing it. I had like almost mastered these stupid little whole note exercises. So that idea of being so prepared that it's in you, I would say that that's something my dad instilled, like just really kind of a Zen brushstroke, instead of taking all the crude practiced regimentation of something and doing it so many times that it becomes just like a dance. That is something that he instilled in me at a young age, which you kind of hear a lot of people try to get to that when they practice making something difficult look easy.
And you still do that?
I try, yeah.
Very cool. Reminds me of a quote by Aristotle that says that excellence is not an act but a habit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Some people hate that quote.
Why?
They think that, I don't hate it, I love it. Some people think that it's like excellence, like a lot of it is luck, and I don't agree. Like they think that the habit of being excellent, like a lot of that is predetermined for some folks.
Right, and I agree with you that it's not, which is really the point of kind of why we're talking about this, because I think it has a lot to do with how our parents train us, right?
Oh, absolutely. Our parents instill so many roadmaps and patterns in our head, and it's like when you go down when you go down like snow,
right,
and it creates a groove in the snow that you can sled down every single time.
Yeah. So,
yeah, you can go off and create a new path, but you're going to tend to go down the one that you've been going down your whole life. That's why certain people are just so themselves, you know, and like the older they become, the more heightened version of themselves they become. And you know who I'm talking about. The people, a lot of them in the improv community, as you know them longer, they become even more heightened versions of themselves. And that's like going down those same slopes over again and deepening those grooves.
That's really interesting. Do you deserve to love your job? Do you deserve a job that you love?
Hell yeah.
Why? Why
So
do you
does
deserve
everybody.
it? Okay,
Because
everybody
you deserve
does.
to enjoy the time that you have on this earth.
And everybody deserves that.
Absolutely. Even if you don't like what you do from 9 to 5.
Mm-hmm.
Like, okay, am I allowed to like go a little bit racy on this?
Absolutely, yeah.
Like there are people who work like the most white collar job 9 to 5, and then they go off and get their nipples electrocuted from 6 to 11 and get their, you know, hot wax poured in their butt, and it's like that they have their weird life after work, and then their day-to-day grind is like Fight Club, the beginning of Fight Club. And that's fine. And that some people prefer it that way, to hate their job and love their life. But I want to try loving both.
Yeah. I'm with you on that one. And one final question. Do you deserve to be happy?
Absolutely. Everybody deserves a chance at happiness. Even if your insecurities govern everything you do, and you don't really, if you're not that in touch with them until you're like 30 something, which a lot of people my age just is just hard because our insecurities govern so much of what we do, and instead of trying to work in a way that is secure, I just feel like a lot of behavior comes out of an unhealthy place, like a lot of behavior. So do I deserve to be happy? Everybody deserves a chance at happiness. And it's like scary. It's like a big fear that's like, will I become less interesting if I'm happy? And yeah, you will not become less interesting. You will still be interesting if you are happy. And like, if you are a self-actualized human being, that is not an uninteresting thing. And I've met people like who I believe are like pretty much close to self-actualized. Like my dad knows some astronauts, and those guys are like happy, brilliant men, like because of their experiences. Just like you're literally shooting through the atmosphere, you could die any second. Those are guys who are like, I don't care, like I've carpe diem, motherfucker, you know. Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing.
It's like genuinely being happy for other people's successes is so much harder to do, but we can teach ourselves to do that, and I think that's really important.
Right. You make me think of the difference between scarcity and abundance.
Oh, so that's like business stuff, right?
Well, no, I think it can be, but I think it's life stuff, right? You can have the mindset that there's only a certain amount of success to go around, and therefore, if that's the case, then it's hard to be happy for someone else's success. But if you have the mindset that we can create anything that we want, and actually there are no limits on what we can do, then that person's success just adds to the overall pie, and it doesn't take away from what you can have.
Right. I had a teacher in middle school say, when one person you know gets successful, you go up with them.
Right.
Whether you know it or not, just by virtue of knowing them.
Right.
Rather than them getting successful and it's like you falling further down because of their success. Absolutely not, in my opinion.
Yeah, I believe that's true. Yeah. I think we're all better off if we take the limits off and believe that you know, we can create anything that we want.
Right.
And there's enough to go around.
Yeah, you look at like Judd Apatow's big happy comedy family. They all just make stuff together, and they don't really care about labels and stuff. Like they just make all these movies, and you can see them hysterically dying laughing on set, doing improv together, and you can tell it does not seem like a tense competitive work environment. It seems like a collaborative, fun one.
Right.
I think that's the goal.